I'll tell you a story about Craig later, probably, but there we go. So let me just get my slides up so you can see them play from the start. So this was, I hope you can all see that. And I hope you can, not too many, that you can actually see all the stuff, because sometimes I get a bit confused about.
We'll send them out as well afterwards.
Send them out as well. We've got a PDF of this. So this is kind of what I suggested I'd talk about. Can you teach entrepreneurship? Are entrepreneurs born or made? That's an entrepreneurship question. And I'll settle this one for all. Trust me, and the Beatles are going to help me. And I'll also explain how to get 1.2 billion hits on YouTube. Not that I have, but I'm working towards it. I can also explain why most university degrees are too expensive and not fit for purpose, and I'll probably cover the meaning of life as well. So I've got a broad brief of stuff to talk about. If I just cover sales for the moment, which is, I get lots of people pitching me business ideas, as you can imagine. They all say, what do you think of my idea? And I say, do you know what? I've never heard a bad business idea ever. I'm sure all of your ideas are perfect. I'm thinking someone is going to make a fortune doing this. I hope it's you. So let's see if it's you. And then the difference between a good idea and a bad idea, as I've discovered to my cost on several occasions, is with a good business idea, they give you money for your stuff. In a bad one, they don't. I wish I could make it more simple. So when I'm teaching skills, and I can do this for you on a separate occasion, I just teach, well, I call it sales, but actually it's hunting sales, how to sell yourself to somebody new who doesn't know who you are at a conference or whatever. It's basically hunting skills, because farming skills are easy. Farming is, would you like another one? Would you like fries with that? Would you like another course or whatever? So specific sales skills I'm not going to cover today, but it covers things like networking and whatever. I can do it on a future occasion. But let's just talk about the whole entrepreneurship thing. Let you just take one step back and think, am I in the right place at the right time? And I'm particularly happy to be dealing with social entrepreneurs, because you are the future of everything. Because now is such an interesting time. I mean, I'm an entrepreneur, so my glass here is more than half full. It's, 3/4 full, but everything's half full. I was having this conversation with the dean of my school today. Everything for me is an opportunity. And this whole COVID malarkey is the biggest opportunity I've ever seen for those that are going to get off their backsides, do stuff, et cetera, and get out and sell, essentially, because everything's different. I mean, I've been doing a straight sales job for the last 3 months, like I used to do years ago, selling a high-tech insurance platform, doing it all via Zoom. So I don't have to get on a plane and go somewhere. So yeah, we're going to have lots of unemployed people, empty shops, empty theaters, et cetera. So this is the message I gave to the dean of my school, a business school, which is, let's get off our backside and get cracking. Let's just get out there and do it. So, and my credentials for doing this, well, it's essentially, let me just get back to my slides. It's a story of two pubs, because I am the beer mat entrepreneur, and I apologize for the metaphor for those of you who don't drink beer and go to pubs, but it is a metaphor. The idea is you get out a beer mat, one of these things, or a coaster, as the Americans would call it. You turn your good idea into a great business, though you may go to a restaurant and write on a napkin. Because I did speak in Tehran once, and for 2 days, I was the coffee shop entrepreneur, unsurprisingly. But please excuse all my pub metaphors. Everything that happened to me happened in a pub. This is the first pub. So the legend is, and there should be a blue plaque, that above this pub in Soho, we wrote the first beer mat, and we started a company called The Instruction Set soon after that. I don't think we actually wrote a beer mat. It's a bit of a myth or a legend or a parable or whatever you want to call it. But this is in a very, very interesting part of Soho. So that would have been the pub that we would have written the beer mat. So 3 of us in a basement started a company. 5 years later, we had 150 people, and we had one of those lovely offers you can't refuse. It was actually Hoskins then, but it became Capgemini. So if we switch to another pub, 5 or 6 years later, I'm in the Slug and Lettuce in Islington, in that upstairs room there, the first floor room. And all the staff are there because they hear there's going to be a big announcement. So what's going to happen? It's like, fantastic news, everybody. We just sold the company to this man in a suit. And everybody went. Some started crying. I mean, 6 weeks later, I'd have given the money back. Frank, no, I wouldn't. I'm not, nobody does that. But it's very odd when you win the lottery like that. But that happened to me in 1989. And that was, had to work for Hoskins or Capgemini for a couple of years. But that's probably the last time I did a proper job. Since then, I've done all sorts of stuff, which I won't cover here. I've, all sorts of different sales jobs, some successfully, some not. But let's get into the whole business of, can you teach entrepreneurship? Or more specifically, are entrepreneurs born or made? It's the nature versus nurture argument. And obviously my view is, yes, you can teach entrepreneurship, because I teach it here. And this was just last August. I got a call from City saying, would you like to teach undergraduates entrepreneurship? And I thought, yeah, why not? Because actually our book came from my experience at City, because I've been teaching there, once a year since about 1991 about computing, and then stories about entrepreneurship. And we actually developed the book at the university back in 2002 when we published it. So I thought, yeah, I'll teach undergraduates. Why not? Anything for a laugh, really. I had 309 students in 2 lots, and they were all from abroad. 95% of them. They were all incredibly rich kids from rich parents coming in from places. And it was completely hilarious. So I did 11 weeks live. Then we did marketing strategy. I got Chris to help me with it. So my view is you can teach anything. But of course, the nurture part is just as important, because looking out at the students, they fall into 2 categories in my sort of entrepreneurship world. They're the ones with gumption, as I call it, and the ones without. So the ones without, they're just there having fun, living in London, get a degree. They're not really that bothered because, life's fun. But the 25% that got first class from me and Chris, they're the good ones. And I would literally put them into any company as an intern tomorrow. They're just absolutely brilliant, all from around the world. So we had to come up with what is the subject matter. And I'm very lucky in that I can tell stories all day. It's my job. But Chris West, my co-author of the book, who's a novelist and a philosopher, I met him at school in 1967. He makes logical sense out of all my stuff. So that's what Beer Mat is. So we did manage to teach it. So I guess the nature versus nurture, well, the answer is both. There's a certain amount of genetics, there's a certain amount of environment. So it's really, the issue is recognizing the nature in the person you're speaking to if you're mentoring, or you yourself, understanding yourself. Who am I and what am I good at and what am I bad at? For example, I'm good at speaking, whereas Chris, he can do it, but he'd rather be writing and so on. And then you just work on your own skills, and then you can learn anything. So, I need to learn things like finance. I'm terrible with money. I know enough to get by. You can learn sales. You literally can learn something. And in a different context, I talk about the understanding of yourself is the most fundamental, thing you do. So, and you learn all the time. I learn stuff about myself every day, and I'm nearly 67, for heaven's sake. So it's learning, it's who you are, then going from there. And specifically when you get into sales, knowing that there's 3 sales jobs: hunting, new business, that's what I do. Very rare, and people love to do that. Farming, which anybody can do. Then monitoring, management, managing the process, just the same as business itself, as sales, delivery, and finance. Which one are you best at? You'll have to do all of them. I'm a sole trader, so I have to do sales, delivery, and finance. But which one are you best at? And then you get training in the ones you're good at. So a good course to send Mike on is a course on listening, because I talk a lot. Left to my own devices, I'll just talk and not listen. And that's bad in sales, as I'm sure I don't need to teach you. So there you go. Let's get back to absolute basics. And I usually ask this question live and get people to give me responses, but that doesn't really work in a Zoom environment. So let's just start thinking about the meaning of life. So why would anybody want to become an entrepreneur in the first place? Because this is the $1 million question for everybody right now, especially those who are literally sat in front of a screen with a beer mat thinking, what do I do post-COVID? I got no job or whatever. Or people thinking, well, I am going to go back to my boring old job, but do I really enjoy doing that? Why don't I start a business on the side, which is a good idea. So I ask people, what are the reasons anybody might want to be an entrepreneur? Craig's would be clearly to change the world. That's what he's doing, in some respect. But what I always say, here's the correct order, because I'm right about everything. Well, I'm not, but I like to give the impression I am. So the first and most important thing for being an entrepreneur is to make money. So let's get back to the, if it makes money, good. If it doesn't make money, bad. Get back to the pub, write another beer mat. So money is not the be all and end all. I come to that pretty quickly. But if it's making money, that's a good sign. If it's not making money, that's a bad sign. So let's make money first. And then a lot of people are thinking, I want to make a difference to myself and my family, perhaps feed them. So a lot of people go to work every day just to pay the bills, pay the mortgage. Totally fine. I like to get people debt-free if I can. But anyway, make a difference to yourself. There's another good reason for being an entrepreneur. Here's Craig here. Make a difference to the world. Make the world a better place. Absolutely. It's not politicians who are going to change the world, as I keep explaining to them. It's you entrepreneurs. Politicians are there to get elected and not end up, like Mussolini. They kind of want to be loved or something. Civil servants, even worse. it's you lot, as I say to my students, who are going to change the world. So let me give you the tools to do it. Let's make the world a better place. We'll solve all the problems of the world. Hunger, poverty, you name it. And then fun. It's a lot of fun being an entrepreneur, as you've probably noticed. Not the days that you go bankrupt, unfortunately, but you have your down days. I'm sure you all do, where sales are not looking good or something's gone wrong. But generally, it is fun being an entrepreneur, because when I say this, I'll probably say this later, for all I know. As many people have said, including Confucius and Edison, if you love what you do, you'll never do a day's work in your life. So freedom, well, it's the freedom to do stuff. You can do your own business, do what you want, rather than work for the man or woman. But if I'm speaking to an audience, often it's, in fact, half the time, it's people in large organizations who want to have that entrepreneurial magic, the quick thinking and the time to market, all of that kind of stuff. So they can have a bit of freedom in their structured environment. So they can try a new thing, and if it doesn't work, well done for trying, rather than you're fired. So freedom's a good thing. Now, a lot of entrepreneurs, I'm sure Craig falls into this category, as they say, well, Mike, to be honest, I've got to be an entrepreneur. It's in my DNA and my genes. I have to do it because I have to do it. And I think, do you know what? You're absolutely right. And these are generally people that are unemployable by proper grown-up companies. And I meet them all the time. They say, I used to work for, I don't know, great company, Accenture, but I had an idiot boss. So I pointed that out and they let me go. Then I went to work for McKinsey's, another great company, but I had an idiot boss. So I told him in front of everybody, including the clients, so they let me go. And now I'm a life coach or something. Some people do not thrive in large organizations. But people are doing it because they want it. This is going back to the gumption thing. So there's a bunch of good reasons, which I summarize in a minute. It's in the notes. But essentially, the reason we do what we do, and I include all of you and all of me and all my students and everybody that's an entrepreneur with a bit of gumption doing stuff, is to create wealth. Now, there's a big difference between wealth and money, which I come to explain in a minute. They're two completely different things. But if you do start a business, create wealth, be successful, have fun, this, that, and the other, I can guarantee you will end up as happy as these people. I've no idea who these people are. They live in PowerPoint land or something. My design company came up with these people. There's probably a bunch of out-of-work actors, but look how happy they are. They're clearly earning money that day. So we want to be as happy as these people. So how do we do it? Well, it's about the creating wealth. And here's my definition of it, which I've taken from somebody else. A lot of people say the same thing. That's just the summary, because the slide won't build in the PDF. So make money, make a difference to yourself, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, just summarized again. So you have that forever. But here's the wealth definition. Now, a definition of wealth, one I like to use, which I've taken from somewhere else, but I don't know where, it's attributed to pretty well everybody, is this thing which is, it's not having a bigger yacht than somebody else. And that yacht belongs to Philip Green. I won't even go there. But the measure of your wealth is how much you'd be worth if you lost all your money. So all your money vanishes, whether it's your fault or somebody else's fault or whatever. It's how much people like you, your reputation, what you're good at. I mean, I know that if Craig had a bit of a misfortune, was looking for work, all of us would give him a job immediately. He's such a terrific bloke and he's good at stuff. That's your dream. So be a nice person, be successful. It's not about having a bigger yacht than Philip Green, God help us. And the meaning of life, well, there's various definitions of it, but I think it all hinges around legacy and mentoring. Like, what are you going to leave behind? And then when you're going to start mentoring people less experienced than you? The answer is pretty early on for most of you. But mentoring is, when you're younger, you get mentored, don't you, by your parents? Mummy, daddy, should I do that? Yes or no? And then later you're telling your own children, yeah, don't do that or do that. So we're on a journey of being mentored to mentoring. So the sooner you can get to a happy, serene state at my age, when all you do is mentoring, frankly, and you can call it teaching, call it this, then you're doing good to the world. You're passing it on to the next generation. It's about legacy and mentoring. And legacy is a very interesting thing, because there's various ways you can leave a legacy. And in the old days, it was, wouldn't it be great if one day they erected a statue to you? And you probably won't recognize this gentleman here. In fact, none of my students did. I said, who's that? They didn't know. Nobody knows. You probably don't know. If you do, brilliant. That is Sir John Cass, the person who my business school was named after. And I showed this slide just to explain who he was. It's not, Cass isn't an acronym for something. Here's a guy that was a philanthropist back in the late 1600s, built schools, built other things. Lovely man, apparently. He gave the foundation, a couple of years, 100 years after he died, gave money to city to make Cass Business School to be named after him, and wasn't that marvelous? And his statue is in 31 Old Jewry Street, London. Now, bit of an unfortunate thing, we discovered, or it was made clear a few weeks ago, that he made his money out of slavery. So the university is going through a really bad place at the moment, which is, in fact, the Cass Foundation itself, I just looked on their website, say they're taking down this statue. It's actually above ground level. You wouldn't even know it was there, but so they've got to change their name. We are rebranding, but we don't know what to. And the bizarre thing is that some students are like, yeah, absolutely. We can't take the old name back. You know, it's clear. We can't be named after somebody made money out of slavery. Fact. Whereas a lot of people are saying, I got my degree from Cass. They're number 12 in the world. I'm angry. I want the Cass name to stay and otherwise pay me back my tuition fees or something. I think that's going to happen. But it's a really interesting time. But again, I see this as an opportunity. My recommendation to my dean, which won't happen, was, if you want a quick name, I'll give you two suggestions. One is the City of London Business School, because we're close to the City of London. If they're happy with that, that could be a nice bit of branding. But I remember once I interviewed the guy who helped win the Olympics for the UK, very nice chap. And he said, top tip for winning the Olympics is get Nelson Mandela to endorse your bid, which he did for 2012. Now, he's not available anymore. He's passed away. But, you know, and I doubt this would ever happen. But, you know, I just suggested to the dean that if we could get something like, you know, if we could call it the Mandela Business School, if everybody was happy with that, and specifically the Mandela family was, you know, that might be a win. But we'll see. It's a job in progress. I offered to help him with it. So one legacy was a statue, but that's all gone. I did have Sir John Cass in my original YouTube video that I'm going to show you, but I've replaced him with Madame Tussauds, who was French, a woman, and an entrepreneur. There's loads of Madame Tussauds around. So I think I can get away with that, but soon we'll discover that she had a bad past or something. But many business schools have exactly the same problem. There's a very well-known and very good business school in Oxford called the Said Business School, named after Mr. Said, I've never met. Turns out he was an arms dealer. That's how they get on with that. So interesting times. We live in interesting times, which is a blessing or a curse, depending on your point of view. But anyway, here's some people who will definitely leave a legacy forever. Yes, it's my friend, the Beatles. Well, there we go. I don't know him. But that's probably the most famous picture in the world. And that's a great brand story, because when they did that picture, which everybody knows, the record company, EMI, said, you've got to put the name of the band and the album on there. And they said, no, they'll know it's us. And they were right. That's probably the most famous picture in the world. And at this point, as I was explaining to people earlier, I'd do a Beatles song. But as this is going on YouTube, I can perform it, but I can't have it recorded. So I'll just recommend that you listen to the words of a song you all know called All You Need Is Love. Because John Lennon nails it for us entrepreneurs. There's nothing you can do that can't be done. Nothing you can sing that can't be sung. Nothing you can say, but you can learn how to play the game. It's easy. Now, learn how to play the game. Entrepreneurship is a very simple game with simple rules, as is sales. You play the game, you succeed. Simple things done well. That's what mentoring is. Simple advice, easy to follow. Of course, all you need is love. You've got to love what you do. If you hate what you do, get another job, please. You've got to love your customers, because then they forgive you when you mess up, or they always come back. You've got to love your staff, then they're nice back to you. And I've seen some entrepreneurs get poo in their sandwiches. I'm not making this up. You know, I've worked for some pretty horrific people in the past. Just love everybody, love the universe, everything works out fine. So that's my message from the Beatles. All you need is love. So you can't argue with that. Oh, and in the end, the love you take is the love you make. I'll put that in the show as well. But my call to action for you all, apart from being an entrepreneur and learning sales, and I can help you with that, or I'll just send you a PDF of sales on a beer mat or something, I don't know. But here's my big thing at the moment, which is get on YouTube. Right, you all know about YouTube. Now, the reason I'm so excited about YouTube is I know how to teach potential undergraduates or undergraduates entrepreneurship. It's 11 lectures done on Zoom or in a lecture theatre. It's fine. And that's for the people who can afford to go to a business school or something. What about all these people that literally just want to start a business and they can't afford to pay, or they don't want to pay? So the delivery platform of choice for young people to learn stuff is YouTube. You may not realize this. You probably do, but anyway. Now, the reason I say YouTube is, I mean, obviously one of the most wonderful people in the world is our son, James, who's 23, MSc in chemistry. He's actually doing an internship at the company I'm working at the moment, which is great fun. But the proudest thing about him, I think, he's the star, and I'm not making this up, of our pub quiz team in Hampstead, where everybody else is like my age. You know, he just knows, he's 23. How does he know this stuff? I mean, not just who's the latest rapper. He's picked it all up from YouTube. So YouTube, so whatever it is you do, what you're good at, get on YouTube and show people what you do and help people and stuff, short episodes. So I thought, I'm going to have to learn about YouTube. Now, this coincided with me and Chris agreeing to do marketing strategy for our business school, again, to undergraduates, second years. And I thought, well, we've got to do Coke versus Pepsi and other big people do marketing and branding. But I thought, they're going to want to know about YouTube. So what I did was I got on a plane, and this is the joy of what I do. I can get on a plane and talk to people. And I met somebody who's had billions of hits on YouTube. And here he is. This is Scott Bradlee going to school in New Jersey. So it's a story of how a regular guy from New Jersey managed to get up 1.2 billion hits on YouTube and then turn that into a sustainable business model. And that's his book, which is a story of him. Now, he's a jazz musician, which is not necessarily a conduit to earning a lot of money, you know, even if you are Duke Ellington. So he's a jazz musician in New York, and he's doing okay, but he decides, you know, I'm not making any money doing this. I'll just quit and go to grad school and read calculus. But you think, before I do, I'll just do a little thing on YouTube, just for fun. So I strongly recommend you check out these videos. There's a lovely story in here. The first one was just him at his piano, and do check it out. It's called Classic 80s Hits. Have a look on YouTube. Just him at his piano doing 80s hits in a ragtime style. He did that and then forgot about it. Next day, he's teaching babies to sing Itsy Bitsy Spider. He suddenly notices he's got 25,000 hits, plus an endorsement from the author Neil Gaiman. So he thinks, I better do this YouTube thing. Now, the thing about YouTube, of course, is you can't just write a hit song and be guaranteed. You put stuff up and you hope. Now, that did quite well. The one that got 1 million hits, and he was as surprised as anybody, was this one, Thrift Shop, where look how badly shot it is. You can't even see the drummer. He's in the dark, and Scott's playing the piano, guy playing the bass. But my view is what sold it was his then girlfriend singing it. That's a lovely lady called Robin Adele Anderson. That one went viral. And what Scott did was then think, now that I'm viral, the magic has happened. How do I make money out of it? And he's worked out a brilliant model, which if you go to his website, he'll send you a PDF and how musicians make money because they're all off the road now. And when he does a video now, he does one every week, 500,000 people at least watch it. And this was about nearly the last one he did before the lockdown. He did the Friends theme tune in 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. That's at 2.6 million. It's like a West End production. And so you're an artist if you're on YouTube, whether you think you are or not. You want to be a YouTuber, of course, have millions of followers. Do what you do, be liked, be lucky. Then if you do go viral, work out the business model, which is very straightforward, which is a lot more clever than just make money out of advertising. We've all seen the YouTubers, but it'll be more fun than that. And again, there's me stood. That's where he records the videos. The joy of being as old as me and hopefully as liked in some places is that I get to meet people like that. So Scott Bradlee's Postmodern Jukebox, check it out. It's just a brilliant, brilliant model. So anyway, I'm going to close with this, which is, so this is my attempt at YouTube. So you're now my guinea pigs. You're some of the first people to actually see this. So I thought, right, if it's going to be YouTube, first thing is, it's not going to be me talking to a camera for any length of time, because that's boring and I'm old and not as good looking as Robin Adele Anderson, let's be brutally honest. So I was giving a sales workshop for some West Midlands creative people. This brilliant, brilliant guy who I'll show you later, called Philippe Ingalls. He's an animator. So I thought, right, 5 minutes, that's the attention span of a young person. It's got to look fun and interesting. This is my attempt. I'm going to show it to you. It's about 5 minutes long. Please, I hope you don't mind me doing this. But your comments and stuff, I mean, this is a free channel. This will be, if you liked it, tell all your friends, and then I'll have 1 million hits and I'll work out how to make money out of it or something. But I'd just like you to watch this and be as critical as you like. I got 2 pages of notes from one person saying how terrible, well, not things I could have improved, but I'll just share it to you, tell you what you think. Now, it starts with recreating the precise moment in that pub in Soho where Me and Pete Griffiths and Mike Banahan wrote on the first beer mat, recreated using CGI, or as you can see it here, animation. So I hope you like it, but it's only 5 minutes long. Hello, I'm Mike Southon, and I'm co-author with Chris West of The Beer Mat Entrepreneur. Well, I was stuck here in lockdown, and I thought, I know what I should do, which is put everything I've ever learned in about 40 years of entrepreneurship, plus everything we've ever written about, onto YouTube for free, forever. Why not? Now, I'm assuming you're literally starting from nothing. You're sat in front of a computer screen, and all you've got is a beer mat, or coaster as the Americans would call it, and you want to turn your good idea into a great business, which is what we say on the front of our book. So sit back, enjoy the show, and do tell me what you think. First, a quick note about culture. Now, I like to go to a British pub and write my ideas on a beer mat. Of course, your culture may be different. Perhaps you go to a restaurant and make notes on a napkin. But a beer mat or a napkin is a metaphor. It's a small thing, so you don't have too much space for too many words early on. Also, this should be a social activity. You should be writing down your good ideas with a little help from your friends. We will show you how to end up both rich and happy. If you're very successful, you might even have a blue plaque in your memory. This is the one for a great entrepreneur, Madame Tussauds. She created her first wax model in 1777. And today there are Madame Tussauds waxworks all over the world. This plaque is in St John's Wood, London. And very close by is this location, Abbey Road. Yes, it's the Beatles, my favourite band. I think their songs will last forever, and their own entrepreneurial story is fascinating, as I'll show you in later episodes. But what attributes do you need to be a beer mat entrepreneur? Well, first we think you need a little bit of something special that we call gumption. Now, if you Google this word, it says shrewd or spirited initiative and resourcefulness. We think it's the desire to get up and go, to do something, as well as being quite resilient, bouncing back when things don't quite go to plan. Next, you have to have a sense of fun. Now, this may seem a bit strange. Isn't business terribly serious? Well, yes, it is, but there is a great saying which has been attributed to many people, from Confucius to Thomas Edison. That saying is, if you choose a job you love, you'll never have to do a day's work in your life. So we plan to show you how to turn your passion into profit. Of course, you do need to have a team mindset. Entrepreneurship is definitely a team game. Even if you work on your own most of the time, there are always other people involved, especially customers. Now, you don't have to employ people from day one, but you should listen to others, especially your mentors. There'll be plenty of material on mentoring later. You also need to have a good ethos. Your ethos is defined as your values, your sense of right and wrong, and your determination to stick to good values. We don't believe in trampling all over other people just to get what you want. Besides, if you're nice to people, they're much more likely to buy from you and work with you. But more on that in future episodes. Of course, you do need to be lucky. Every successful entrepreneur that I've ever met told me that they were lucky. Of course, the harder you practice, the luckier you get, as the famous golfer Gary Player famously once said. We can't teach you to be lucky, but we can show you how to spot that you are in the right place at the right time, which is the key to successful entrepreneurship. But most important, we're going to show you how to develop your ideas for free, to sell some services for money up front, and then build a profitable business from there. And as this is YouTube, all the advice we give you is available here for free. To summarize,
A beer nut entrepreneur needs to have gumption, a sense of fun, a team mindset, and good ethics. We'll show you how to make your own luck. Well, that's it for episode 1. In episode 2, I'll be showing you how to find the right idea that works for you, that's also good fun. If you've enjoyed this, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and do share it with all your friends. I'll see you next time.
So there we go. There's 5 minutes. That's the guy who did the animation. Lovely, lovely man. And I hope he gets lots and lots of work out of this. He's obviously helping me out and doing this in between the other things he's doing. I am paying him. I always pay people. But no, big shout out for the quality of the animation to Philippe from Waxter. And that really is it. If you did like there's the link to that YouTube thing. Please do subscribe to it. You can always unsubscribe. Please tell all your friends. I'm trying to go viral with it. So any help you can give me would be most appreciated. And future episodes, I'll be getting very quickly into how to sell. The number one skill after you've got your idea and you've developed it is about how to get your first customer. That'll be pretty soon in future episodes. I'm going to talk to students with it. So there we go. So I will stop sharing, I think, because you're going to get a PDF